It was a tough break, tough play. It's a give read. We have a chance for a big play, and we'll leave it at that. Certainly, he works his butt off like all of, it's just more of a technique thing. So if we have to look at how much, but that was, we had just stopped him on the 4th down play, and so we got the ball in real good field position. We have a chance to make something of it, and unfortunately we didn't.
That's Sean Payton talking about Taysom Hill after last night's game, and it really was a critical moment when Taysom Hill had his fumble. The momentum had swung dramatically in New Orleans' favor after a horrendous spot on a 4th and short play by the Packers was corrected by replay review, and the Saints had the ball. They gained 7 yards on 1st down, 2nd and 3. It's a read option play, and what happened was Zadarius Smith, he delayed his commitment long enough to freak out Taysom Hill and to bait Hill into not handing off, and then Zadarius Smith went straight at Taysom Hill. And if Smith had committed to pursuing Latavius Murray, that would have been a huge play because Josh Hill, who was lined up in the backfield, ran right by Zadarius Smith to do some lead blocking. They had a convoy set up. All that Taysom Hill had to do was get past Zadarius Smith, and he would have gained 20, 25, 30 yards or more, but it wasn't to be. But that has become the main focal point for all the Taysom Hill truthers out there that think he's not very good. I think the reality is they're deliberately not using him as much as they used to because they're trying to develop him as a quarterback. I don't think that. I know that. When you look at his reps, especially special teams, dramatically plummeted. His participation in the offense has dropped repeatedly each week from almost 40% I think it was in the playoff game against the Vikings, or at least between 30 and 40, and it's in the 20s, and it's getting lower and lower. I think they're just working on getting him ready to play quarterback next year if Drew Brees retires, and as a result, when he's on the field, he really isn't doing all that much this year, Shireen. And then when you're on the field and you get a chance to run the ball and you fumble, it makes it look even worse.
Yeah, it sure does. 44 offensive snaps this season. That's 23%. 22 special team snap. That's 24%. He played 13 of 61 snaps yesterday. And, to me, that's not enough for Taysom Hill in this offense. I just think he's special with what he can do with the ball in his hands. He's had 9 total touches and thrown 1 pass. And at some point, they're going to have to take the bubble wrap off of him and let him play, I would think, if they want to do what they have pushed all their poker chips into the middle of the table for, and that's to win a Super Bowl for Drew Brees before he retires. And I think we're seeing the end of Drew Brees' career, and I think it's time, and I think you're going to have to play Taysom Hill and get him ready for 2021 at the same time, but try to do that. But if he's got to become a bigger part of this offense if they're going to succeed. And I know not having Michael Thomas, I get all that. He's special. He's one of the top receivers in the league. Obviously set the NFL record last year with 149 catches. We know what he can do. We know how much they miss him. But because they miss him, I think you need to get Taysom Hill more involved.
Yeah, and see, that's the balance. If you are focused on developing him as a quarterback, how much time are you spending at practice on that? Right. How much time at practice are you spending on the plays where Taysom Hill is part of your offense? I mean, they're still using him on offense, but not like they did in the past. And it really does make me wonder when I see 2 carries yesterday for 6 yards, including, obviously, the play with the fumble, 1 catch, no pass attempts. He's got 1 pass attempt for the year, and it was completed for a 38-yard gain in garbage time of the win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I feel like that there's a sensitivity to Drew Brees that is at play here. With all the talk about him not being able to throw the ball down the field, I think at some level there's a concern that they are upstaging Drew Brees and that they are sticking a knife in the wound and twisting it a little bit by displaying the deep ball power that Taysom Hill has. Otherwise, because you do need to use it. You've got to keep defenses honest in order to manipulate your offense the way they do with the short passes in the running game. And if Drew Brees isn't going to throw the ball deep down the field, then Taysom Hill needs to throw the ball deep down the field once in a while just to make sure that they don't crowd the short zones. And eventually someone's going to do it. Once they realize they're just not going to throw the ball down the field, they're going to bring the safeties up, and they're going to try to take all of that stuff away. And maybe that's when they do the rope-a-dope and start throwing the ball down the field or letting Hill do it. But it's just confusing to me. It's an awkward spot to be in when they've spent so much money on Hill, and when it's becoming clear that it's a down payment on the future, not a representation that they're going to take what he did in the playoffs and expand it dramatically. And the fact that he's not involved in special teams to the extent that he was, he's gone from 84% against the Vikings in the playoff game to 16% yesterday. They're using him dramatically less in special teams, which tells me that this is about developing him as a quarterback. But, you know, if you're not winning games and he's not involved, it's almost like the Odell Beckham dynamic a little bit. Well, if you involved this guy a little bit more, maybe you'd be winning games, because you're not winning games with him being involved on a limited basis. So I don't know what they need to do, but the question is going to be there as long as they're both losing and we're not seeing much of Taysom Hill.
Yeah, absolutely. And they need to get him involved. He's such a big part of that offense, or can be such a big part. As you repeatedly have said, in that playoff game last year, he was the best player on the field. He can be the best player on the field anytime he's on the field if you let him do what he's capable of doing.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And it's not like he's slower. It's not like he's got less skill than he had last year. It's just he needs to have the ball in his hands in order to show what he can do. But it doesn't help when you do get an opportunity that you fumble the football. Yeah. But, the Packers played that read option extremely well, and that's how it worked out.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.